Namaganatimirandasya Yaranjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupagada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Siguro Sijuta Parakamalam Siguro Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Ragana Tanmitam Hangsajivam Bhagavatam Swavadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vanchaka Pachubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vivacha Patitanam Pabane Bhyo Vaishnavi Bhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Ramachaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudidayat Nasta Preshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavat Shevaya Bhagavad Utama Shloke Mukti Bhavati Naistaki. Today, Thursday, October 24th, 2024. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Today, text number 67. Kastvat padam jam vijahati pandito. Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha. Vishankaya smad guru archati smayad. Vino papatim manavashchaturdasha. Kastvat padambam Kashtvat padam jam vijahati pandito. Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha. Vishankaya shmad guru archati smayad. Vino papatim manavashchaturdasha. Kastvat padam jam vijahati pandito. Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha. Vishankaya shmad guru archati smayad. Vino papatim manavashchaturdasha.
Kastvat padabjam vijahati pandito.
Kastvat padabjam vijahati pandito.
Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha.
Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha.
Vishankaya smad guru arche smayad.
Vishankaya samad guru archati smayad. Vino papatim manavashchaturdasha. Padabjam vijahati pandito. Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha. Vishankaya smad guru archati smayad. Vino papatim manavashchaturdasha.
Kastvat padabjam vijahati pandito.
Kastvat padabjam vijahati pandito.
Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha.
Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha.
Vishankaya smad guru archati smayad.
Vyaskamashmad guru archati smayad.
Manavashchaturdasha.
Vino papatim manavashchaturdasha. Kastvat padabjam vijahati pandito. Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha. Vishankaya samad guru archati smayad. Vino papatim manavashchaturdasha. Govinda.
Kastvat padabjam vijahati pandito.
Kastvat padabjam vijahati pandito.
Yaste vamana vyayamana ketana.
Yaste vamana vyayamana ketanaha.
Sankhya Smarad Guru Aksha Ismanyad
Shankaya Samad Guru Archati Smayad.
Vinopapati Manvas Chatur Dasa.
Vino Papati Manavaskatur Dasha. All right, the word for word, please repeat. Kaha. Who? Twat. Your. Padambujam. Wait a minute. Padabjam. Padabjam. Oh. Padabjam. Lotus feet. Vijahati. Avoids. Panditaha. Learned. Yaha. Who? Te. Unto you. Avamana. Deriding. Vyayamana. Decreasing. Ketanaha. This body. Vishankaya. Without any doubt. Asmat. Our. Guruhu. Spiritual master. Father. Archati. Worships. Sma. In the past. Yat. That. Vina. Without. Upapatim. Agitation. Manavaha. The Manus. Chaturdasha. 14. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord, any learned person knows that unless he worships you, his entire life is spoiled. Knowing this, how could he give up worshiping your lotus feet? Even our Father and Spiritual Master, Lord Brahma, unhesitatingly worshipped you, and the 14 Manus followed in his footsteps. Please repeat. My dear Lord, any learned person knows that unless he worships you, his entire life is spoiled. Knowing this, how could he give up worshiping your lotus feet? Even our Father and Spiritual Master, Lord Brahma, unhesitatingly worshipped you. And the 14 Manus followed in his footsteps. And an ecstatic purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The word Pandita means a wise man. Who is actually a wise man? The wise man is described in Bhagavad Gita 7:19 in this way. Bahunam janmanam ante yanavanamam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma surlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Thus, when the wise man actually becomes wise, after many births and whimsical attempts at self-realization, he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Such a Mahatma, or learned person, knows that Krishna, Vasudeva, is everything, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Learned persons always think that life is wasted unless they worship Lord Krishna or become his devotee. Srila Rupa Goswami also says that when one becomes an advanced devotee, he understands that he should be reserved and perseverant, shantihi, and that he should engage in the service of the Lord and not waste time, abhyarta kalatvam. He should also be detached from all material attraction, vidoktihi, and he should not long for any material respect in return for his activities, manasunyata. He should be certain that Krishna will bestow his mercy upon him, asha bandha, and he should always be very eager to serve the Lord faithfully, samutkanta. The wise man is always eager, very eager to glorify the Lord by chanting and hearing Nama Gani Sadaruchihi. And he is always eager to describe the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Asaktis tad gunakyani. He should also be attracted to those places where the Lord had his pastimes. Pritis tad vashati stare. These are symptoms of an advanced devotee. An advanced devotee, or a perfect human being who is actually wise and learned, cannot give up his service at the lotus feet of the Lord. Although Lord Brahma has a long lifespan, 4,320,000,000 years, constitute 12 hours in a day of Brahma. Brahma is afraid of death and consequently engages in the devotional service of the Lord. Similarly, all the Manus who appear and disappear during the day of Brahma are also engaged in the Lord's devotional service. In Brahma's one day, 14 Manus appear and disappear. The first Manu is Swayambhuva Manu. Each Manu lives for 71 yugas, each consisting of some 4,320,000 years. Although the Manus have such a long lifespan, they still prepare for the next life by engaging in the devotional service of the Lord. In this age, human beings live only for 60 or 80 years, and even the small lifespan is gradually decreasing. Therefore, it is even more imperative for human beings to take to the worship of the lotus feet of the Lord by constantly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Trinadapi suni chena Dododi Vashuhishana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahadi Shikshastika, verse 3. When one is engaged in devotional service, he is often surrounded by envious people, and often many enemies come to try to defeat him or stop him. This is not new in this present age, for even in the days of yore, Prahlad Maharaj, who was engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, was harassed by his demoniac father, Hiranyakashipu. The atheists are always prepared to harass a devotee. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suggested that one be very tolerant of these people. Nonetheless, one has to continue chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and preaching the chanting of this mantra, because such preaching and chanting constitute the perfection of life. One should chant and preach about the urgency of making this life perfect in all respects. One should thus engage in the devotional service of the Lord and follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, beginning with Lord Brahma and others. Kastvat padam padabhajam vijahati pandito yetas vamana vyayamana ketanaha vishankayasmad guru archatis mayad vino papatim manavash chaturdasha. My dear Lord, any learned person knows that unless he worships you, his entire life is spoiled. Knowing this, how could he give up worshiping your lotus feet? Even our Father and spiritual master, Lord Brahma, unhesitatingly worshipped you, and the 14 Manus followed in his footsteps. Mukum karoti bachalam pangam lagjayate girim jajakripa tamaham vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinum. Very nice verse and purport. A lot of interesting things in here, both in the lines of the purport and in between the lines as well. Let's go through some of the things we find in the purport here. Pandita means a wise man, a learned man. Then Prabhupada said, who is actually a wise man? Who is actually a learned person? And we have recently spoken about this definition of a learned person as given by Chanakya Pandit, which Prabhupada refers to, not here in this purport, but elsewhere, that there are three qualifications of the learned man. Is that he sees the possessions of others as having no value or meaning for himself. And the expression is used, he sees them as garbage in the street. So does that mean that you see someone else's possessions, you jump on it and stomp on it and tear it up and throw it because it's just garbage in the street. No, it means that you don't touch it. And in traditional, strongly administered societies in the Vedic times, someone drops something on the street, a valuable possession, no one will touch it. They'll go around. They'll make a wide berth so as not to be associated with any suspicion that they might be interested in picking it up and taking it. And the Kshatriyas, why is this? Because the Kshatriyas were so strong that if someone is a thief, then you'd be punished by cutting off his hands. So if you pick that up, you're going to get your hands cut off. No. Not for me. It is not mine. But a learned person sees like that. He does not covet others' possessions, like the biblical injunction, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife to enjoy, because it is not mine, it's not meant for me. So a learned person sees everything in this world is not meant for my enjoyment, especially anything that belongs to anyone else. Wow, what a consciousness. Contrast that with modern consciousness, where everyone wants to get everything, and if someone sees that someone else has something cool or better than me, oh, I want it so bad. I want it now. And that is not learned. That is ignorance. So real learned means whatever God has given me, that is sufficient. That is my quota. I accept that, and not try to get things that belong to others. And not try to accumulate more than is necessary. Another qualification of a wise man or a learned person is that he sees the sufferings of others as if they were his own. And the deeper meaning of that is that he does not wish to see others suffer, because he himself does not like to suffer. He has experienced that, and he doesn't want to see others suffering. So he has some compassion, some sympathy. And then the third qualification, just like the aforementioned biblical injunction, he sees all women, except his wife, as his mother. So all the women in the world are not meant for my enjoyment. But contrast that with modern advertising, for example. You see the beautiful woman, you think, oh, yes, I want that. Or the woman sees a beautiful man. There's equality on this platform. So it is not meant for it is not meant for my enjoyment. It is not mine. And we mentioned this previously in the early days of ISKCON. The men used to refer to the ladies as the gopis, Krishna's gopis. So instead of saying the Matajis or the ladies, they would say the gopis. Nice consciousness, because the gopis are what? Krishna's servants that are meant to be enjoyed by Krishna and no one else. So I thought that was rather sweet. That was before my time, but it did take place. The gopis. Oh, the gopis are going out on Sankirtan. Give them the key to the band, or something like that. So that is an actual wise person. And then Prabhupada, one step further to Bhagavad Gita. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Samahatma Sudrulabaha. That a real wise man is Bahunam Janmanam. Bahu means many, Janma means births. So ante, after many births and deaths, that one who actually becomes wise surrenders to Krishna. Gyanavan, one who is Gyanavan. Van means to possess, and means wisdom or knowledge. So one who actually is in possession of wisdom, then Mam Prapadyante, he surrenders to Krishna. Knowing Vasudeva Savamiti, that Krishna is everything. He's the cause of all causes. He's the origin, the maintenance and the dissolution of everything, including the whole material cosmos, the entire universe and all its contents. Those are his energies. He's the master of everything. Everything emanates from him, as he explains in the 10th chapter. Aham sarvasya bhavavo. Everything comes from me. Matak sarvam pravartate. And just in case you didn't get it, from me, everything is coming. It says it two ways in the first two lines of that verse. Aham sarvasya bhavavo. From me, everything comes. Everything is coming from me. Matak sarvam pravartate. From me, everything is coming. Got it? You can say it a third time. He does later. So just to make sure we get the point. And then if you know that Vasudeva Savamiti, knowing that Krishna is everything, how is that symptomized by one's behavior or one's activities? Gyanavan mam prapadyante. Knowing all these things about Krishna, then one surrenders to him. So that is the result of knowledge. If someone is thinking, oh, I know Krishna, but then he doesn't surrender, what does that mean? It means he doesn't really know. He doesn't understand. Because if one understands, then one surrenders to Krishna. So, Gyanavan mam prapadyante. If you think that you know anything, Gyanavan, then you have to surrender to Krishna. Knowing Krishna to be everything and the ultimate cause of all causes and the origin of everything. Sa Mahatma Sadurlabaha, that's just not like every Tom, Dick, and Harry walking down the street either. Sa Mahatma Sadurlabaha, actually one who is self-realized devotee, is a rare commodity in the universe, in life, in the world. But then you have the situation where Srila Prabhupada has created this movement full of Sa Mahatma Sadurlabhas, full of such great rare souls. And they are all coming together right here in this very temple, right in front of our eyes, to surrender to Krishna and serve him very nicely. So that is a Pandita. Prabhupada makes a very nice statement. After one becomes wise, what, right away? Like right now? Like yesterday? I did this yesterday. I know everything. No, after many births, and he says whimsical attempts at self-realization. What are these whimsical attempts? I am God. I am a great yogi. Om. No, that is whimsical. But when you get beyond that whimsy, that foolishness, and you become experienced, then you surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada defines the learned persons by saying that they always think that life is wasted unless they worship Lord Krishna. So sometimes we see people become devotees, but then they don't stick to their Krishna consciousness. And so that's a waste. Unless they're worshiping Krishna, one person became a devotee, and then they left. Oh, what happened? You went away. Yes, I am into Native American spirituality now. And they said, it's like, what? You know, what Shastra is that? What Shastra is that? Yeah, it's from the Muda Samhita. You know, Mudha means a fool, a rascal. In the Muda Samhita, you know, Yatamat Tatapat, whatever you do, it's all good. You know, just do your own thing. It's fine. All roads lead to Rome. So you can do anything, you can do everything. And now I'm following, you know, the great spirit in the sky and become a devotee of, you know, Cochise or something, and smoking big peace pipe, and all that stuff. No, that's whimsical and it's foolish. But we see it happen. Astonishingly enough, there's an old joke that sometimes persons will become devotees from the, what's that group? The Jehovah's Witnesses. Sometimes the person will come out of Jehovah's Witness and become a devotee. But hardly ever do you see someone become a devotee and then leave Krishna consciousness and become a Jehovah's Witness. Huh? Yeah, he came from Jehovah's Witness, his mother. So, and there have been others, but rarely do you see someone become a devotee and they're like, nah, that's too much for me. I'm going to be a Jehovah's Witness now. That rarely happens. Although sometimes, occasionally, we see devotees become a, quote, Christian, quote. And you scratch your head like, what happened to them? You know, they obviously weren't paying attention while they were chanting their rounds, or they just weren't chanting their rounds at all. You know, in their bead bag, and then look around, sit there, and just move their lips and think, oh yes, he's chanting his round. They're not chanting at all. He's thinking about sense gratifications and that. These things we have seen. There was one book written by Satsvarup Maharaj called Litany of the Gone. And he lists all these different devotees who had been devotees and then gone away. So the Litany of the Gone, we don't want to have our names included in that book, the Litany of the Gone. Litany means like an exposition or a list or an accounting. So the Litany of the Gone, and we don't want to be gone. There's one musician had a record called Gone Like a Train. So I used to live when I was a child. We had, for about a year, we rented a house, and right behind the house was the train tracks, the freight trains. And so the trains come and then gone like a train. So we used to do things like, you know, throw rocks at the train, at the freight cars, or put pennies on the tracks, or do different things. Throwing rocks was the most fun because there was all these rocks as part of the train track bed. So, so we got so used to living there, and our friends would come over, and it was a thing like, okay, when the train comes, we're going to go out and throw rocks at the train, right? So the train, you'd hear the train whistle, but we lived there. We didn't even hear it anymore. It was just background. You didn't. And friend said, "There's the train whistle." He goes, "Oh, I didn't even hear it. Let's go." We run out there, throw rocks. So gone like a train. We don't want our Krishna consciousness, our devotional service, to be like that. Otherwise, that life is wasted. That human life is wasted if one is not a devotee. That's what a learned person thinks. If I don't become a devotee and I don't worship Lord Krishna, then what a waste. What a waste of time. And then Srila Prabhupada goes into this very wonderful description of an advanced devotee. And he gives the Sanskrit for each term, for each quality. And this is very nice because he's quoting these verses. There's actually two verses from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami. And these two verses, which I'm going to read in a minute, are found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Madhya Lila chapter 23, Life's Ultimate Goal, which is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talking to Sanatana Goswami. It's not talking to Rupa Goswami, he's talking to Sanatana Goswami. And Kaviraj Goswami has Lord Chaitanya recite these verses. So how is that? I thought that's Rupa Goswami. It's in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Well, as it turns out, Srila Prabhupada explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that during the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, amongst the community of Vaishnavas, the associates of Lord Chaitanya, who were all learned scholars for the most part, especially the leading followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially the six Goswamis, there were many, many verses that were current amongst these associates of the Lord himself and his associates, including Swarup Damodar Goswami, Raghunath Das, Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, that they all knew and quoted and talked about. And yet these verses, many of these verses are not found in other Vedic literatures, but we find them in the writings of the Goswamis. So they compiled and collected these verses, which everybody knew and everybody was talking about, all the important leading devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So these verses were current in the society of the Vaishnavas. And you could say ostensibly that perhaps many of them and most of them had been spoken by Lord Chaitanya himself and given to his disciples. So these verses that are not found elsewhere then appear in the writings of the six Goswamis, particularly Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. And then subsequently, we find these verses popping up in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So therefore, it's understood that Kaviraj Goswami himself, being a great scholar, had read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, written by Rupa Goswami, and read all the books of the Goswamis and studied them and memorized them. And he knew all these verses. And then he also knew, hearing from Raghunath Das about Lord Chaitanya's day-to-day activities, which Raghunath Das Goswami was in the habit of reciting as a daily part of his sadhana. That is, for 4 hours every day, he was speaking Chaitanya Leela. Your name is Chaitanya Leela. Well, he was speaking Chaitanya Leela for 4 hours every day. He wasn't talking about you, but he was talking about Chaitanya Leela, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and all the things he said and did. And so this was all included in these narrations. And from hearing all this daily, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami became the presiding expert in Sri Vrindavan after Raghunath Das Goswami. And then he says, at the end, there's a verse he speaks at the end of every chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Rupa Raghunath Padayari As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahi Krishnadas. That praying at the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, I, Krishnadas, narrate the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kahi Krishnadas means, Kahi means he's speaking. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving these verses both to Rupa Goswami and to Sanatana Goswami, and instructing them in the science of Krishna consciousness. And the instructions of Sanatana Goswami particularly are very extensive, quite a few chapters in the Madhya Lila, chapter 20, 21, 22, 23, like that. And very conclusive minds of the jewels of Krishna consciousness that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to Rupa and Sanatana. So in this Madhya Lila, chapter 23, wrong thing. Hit the wrong button, you can mess up your whole life. Here it is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks this pair of verses while talking with Sanatana Goswami. And then later these two verses appear in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion, which is our English version of that, in the first part, chapter 3, 25 and 26. And the verses are, Chantir avyarta kala tvam viraktir mana shunyata asha bandha samutkanta namagani sadaruchi asaktis gunakyani pritistad vashati stale iti adayo nubhava shur jata bhavan kure jane. And the translation is, when the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, which means an advanced devotee, like we're talking about a learned person and an advanced devotee, these are the characteristics. The following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior. Forgiveness, concern that time should not be wasted. Detachment, absence of false prestige, hope, eagerness, a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, attachment to descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, an affection for those places where the Lord resides, that is, a temple or a holy place like Vrindavan. So that this temple is included in that description, attachment for the temple. These are all called anubhava, subordinate signs of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love of God has begun to fructify. So Prabhupada goes through many of these symptoms in the purport, and then he includes in parentheses the particular Sanskrit term. And let's go through some of those. Shantihi, forgiveness. So a elevated Vaishnav forgives others. Avyarta kalatvam. This is a very nice quality. Kala means just a second, a moment. Abhyarta kalatvam. That one does not waste even 1 second of his life in anything that is not related to Krishna or that is not related to Krishna's service. He's not jacking around, but he's always focused. And Srila Prabhupada himself was the example par excellence of someone who was always 24/7 engaged in Krishna service. Viraktihi is detached. What is that detachment? Detached from sense gratification. That's what that means. That detachment and everything that goes with sense gratification. Particularly, what's very attractive for the conditioned soul is the false prestige that one tries to, or respect that one tries to get from others. People will perform their activities in such a way that they hope that someone is watching and noticing. And they want to get some subtle sense gratification in the terms of that adoration, distinction, and profit, as Prabhupada explains very nicely. Adoration. Oh, you are so wonderful. Oh, yes, I am. Yes, now you have properly understood who I am because you're adoring me. So that's a subtle form of sex life, profit, adoration, and distinction. Distinction, yes. You see, I am very unique and distinct in my everything. And you have adored me for that, and now pay me. Profit. Let me get a profit out of all of this. And we see that some prominent and famous persons in our current society who seek to get higher office exhibit this to the utmost foolishness degree. And even those who have been around them just are astonished that this is so disqualified. This is such a disqualification for someone who wants to lead, that they just want to exploit everyone for their own perverse little sense gratification. So that's detachment. Mana sunyata, absence of false prestige. Amanina manadena prapakosa verse. Kirtaniya siddhahari. When one becomes humble, then one respects everyone and doesn't require any respect for themselves. One time I was visiting one devotee friend, and I was in this driveway and putting some stuff in and out of the van. These two kids come by, teenagers, probably about 16 years old. And they came walking by and they looked at me and said, "What's up?" And I just ignored them because I was busy. And then they got really angry because I ignored him, and they said, "What's up?" And I said, "What's up, bro?" And they were upset because they hadn't been paid their due respect by acknowledging them. And I was astonished. You know, they took immediate umbrage. I was busy. I was doing what I was doing. So then when I said, what's up back? They were like, okay, they were pacified. Now you have recognized me. I can go on my way. You know, it was funny. Yeah, they were so, we said, what's up, man? What's the matter with you? So, you know, tough guys in the neighborhood. It was a working class neighborhood. Mana sunyata, absence of false prestige. One doesn't require recognition from others. The next is asha bandha. No one has hope. And tamutkanta, eagerness for anything in relation to Krishna, especially nama gani sadaruchi. Ruchi means taste. One always, sadaruchi, always has a taste for namagane, the chanting of the holy names. I have a friend, I haven't seen him in many years, his name is Sadaruchi. And so it means one who always has a taste. And he had acquired a nickname when he was down in the dumps for a while. His nickname was Sad and Moochie. So one should not be sad and moochy. That's lamenting of a Shudra and not clean, sad and moochy. No, Sadaruchi, always having a taste, a Shakti, attachment to Lord Krishna, and always attached to Guna Akyane, in both describing Krishna's qualities and hearing about the descriptions of Krishna's qualities, which are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, for example. And priti tat bishati stale, having affection. Priti means affection. Having affection for the holy places, which means the temple, as we talked about, this temple, all of Krishna's temples, and the holy places like Sri Vrindavan Dham and Mayapur and Dwarka and Jagannath Puri. And then these are the signs of one in whose heart the seed of love of God has fructified and is producing these results. Somewhat of an elevated topic. We shouldn't try to imitate that, but at least we can be attached to the temple and have affection for Krishna's temple. That's not so hard to do, especially when we get such nice prasad. Who would not be attracted, right? So these are the verses given in the Bhakti Rasamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami, and here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, spoken to Sanatana Goswami, my Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which gives us an understanding of the science of Krishna consciousness. These are scientific descriptions of a Krishna conscious person. So if someone exhibits these qualities, we can understand that there is some fructification of the seed of Godhead. And on the lower platform, the more neophyte platform, which we're on, at least there's some shadow, or should be some shadow of these qualities exhibiting, like enthusiasm for kirtan, enthusiasm for hoping against hope that one can become Krishna conscious, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, and all these other qualities that are described. Avyartakala Toam, not wasting time, but always engaging in Krishna service. All right, so we'll stop here. Questions, comments, and realizations.
To share, it's inspiring to be around advanced devotees. Like we just had His Holiness Bhajan Ryan Swami here, and then I was just seeing his level of his work ethic and just busy all day in Krishna's service, and so much taste for chanting, and you see different, not just him, but many devotees, senior devotees, very senior and advanced devotees. You see that they're manifesting these qualities, and it gives you a lot of hope. Because they're following the process.
Asha Bandhu, yes, we should have this hope against hope. Oh, let me become like this. Let me see this nice devotee. Let me become like, have those qualities too. Let me follow in their footsteps. Let me associate with them, and then maybe some of that will rub off on me. Some of the good stuff will rub off. All right, anyone else? Okay, we are out of here. It's time for Prasadam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay.